Morning, Bridge. Just finished Saturday morning batch cooking. Now I'm about to go and unravel the Christmas lights from last year, which is as irritating as having a one-way conversation with you. But I have had an idea, which I need to share with you. I still don't agree with your policy. I don't want it. I don't think it'll work. I think it's a sham. You seem hell-bent on putting it in. So let's go with that. Let's go with you are going to impose VAT on education. If you're going to do it, let's look at a system that your own leader benefited from. Let's look at that. So when your own leader was at Reigate Grammar School, it went private and the council recognised that to disrupt the education of all the children currently in the grammar school would be morally wrong, hugely detrimental and just not palatable. So they didn't do it. So they paid the fees of all the kids currently in Reigate Grammar School, and then the children joining from September had to pay fees, and the parents did have a choice. They knew what they were going to sign up for. So I'm not asking you to pay the fees of all children in private school at the minute. That would be catastrophe. What I think is, if you're absolutely hell-bent on this, if you really can't see the damage you are doing to an entire sector of society, let's do some damage limitation. Put your bill in September 2027. Now that gives the Treasury time and the schools time to adapt to the policy. It gives them time to get their ducks in a row. It gives them time to actually be able to process the paperwork. It gives the schools time to rejig their entire structure so that they can afford it. And the inevitable redundancies that are going to happen, it gives a little more time from saying you're out of a job as in January. So let's do it thoughtfully, well, as thoughtfully as you can for a policy that's had no thought put into it. Let's look at what special educational needs are and how we're going to exempt them, because we're all agreed that children with special educational needs should not be paying VAT on school fees. So let's exempt children with a diagnosis. And that doesn't need to be an EHCP, that doesn't need to be a tribunal, that is a diagnosis. Okay, so we're clear, 2027 and SEN children are exempt. We are therefore protecting all children currently in private education, but we are managing the expectations of anybody who would like to go in to private education, and we are saying to them it's going to be 20% more expensive. We're giving the state schools time to cater for the tens of thousands of children that are going to have to come in to the state sector because private is no longer a thing. So we're not bombarding our current state teachers who are already doing the most phenomenal job under the most obscene circumstances. We're not bombarding them. We are giving them time and support to prepare for these measures. If that's what you really feel you must do, if you are so desperate to get rid of private education, then let's do a halfway house. How's that? I mean, it still makes me feel sick. If I was you, if I was the education secretary, I would be scrapping the entire thing. I'd be going hard on high-end luxury goods. I'd be going hard on fat cat bosses. I'd be going hard on gambling. I'd be going hard on vaping. I would be looking at philanthropy. I'd be asking all of the rich football clubs if they could build a school. I'd be asking all of the universities if they could put together a board of specialists, educational psychologists, paediatricians, all the experts in the world of children's education, and I'd be asking them to advise on policies that would support children. I'd be looking at the curriculum, I'd be looking at GCSEs, I'd be wondering if it really was a valid way of I can't even say the words. You have to go through life, you have to go through your school career to get GCSEs, which apparently is a certificate of worth. I'd be looking at that. I'd be overhauling the education system. but I'd be doing it with children at the forefront of it. And I realise there would be difficult choices, but if they were that difficult, I wouldn't make them. I'd just park it. I'd say it's not okay. We're not going to use kids as collateral damage. I'm not going to test on them. I'm not going to experiment on them. If I don't think it stacks up, I'm not going to do it. They would be my difficult choices, because I would want to revolutionise the education system because I so passionately believe in it. But if I thought that it was going to detrimentally affect the children, I'd put my own personal want aside. I wouldn't make that choice. Simple. And then the economy might actually start to grow a little bit, because you would have people, instead of putting the 20% extra that they're going to have to put into school fees, they might be able to afford their tax bill. So they might not be phoning the tax man and going, oh shit, I'm going anywhere near that. They might be spending a little bit more on their weekly shop. They might be turning the heating. Oh, actually, no, we don't want to be turning the heating on anymore. That just goes to the energy companies. Tax them! You know, there's ways around this bridge. I'm a washer-upper and the CEO of my house. I don't get paid for doing any of that. I'm not an economist, although to be fair, that doesn't preclude you from being the Chancellor of the Exchequer. I'm not an economist. I am not an education specialist. I'm a mum. And I'm a mum of two very different children, so I see both sides of the coin. And with every fibre in my body, I will challenge this, because it's just not fair. But we can't chat. I've got Christmas lights to go and unravel, which is literally more irritating than having a one-way conversation with you. Adios.